But one day, the landlord showed up and told her he had sold the house because his daughter was sick and he needed the money. He offered to refund her rent and compensate her, but she had to leave immediately. She packed her things and left, feeling heartbroken. She even asked her mom if life in the village was any good. Meanwhile, our guy's friends told him about what had happened between Chansey and his mom. He couldn't believe it and rushed out, determined to be with her, humming a song like, "I'll challenge the world with you by my side." His friends asked, "Why the hurry? Aren't you afraid of your mom?" But he didn't care. His priority was staying by Chansey's side. When he got to her place, she was sitting outside. He hugged her, saying he knew everything and wouldn't leave her again. He then noticed all the bags and asked, "What's with all the luggage?" She explained she had been evicted and planned to stay at a friend's place. A friend? Why stay with a friend when your boyfriend's house is open? She was hesitant, especially after her argument with his mom, but she went along. When she met his grandmother, he introduced her as his girlfriend and said she would be living there. The grandmother asked her to clean the house and cook in exchange for staying there. Doinji yelled, "How can you say that? She's not a maid." The grandmother clarified, "She's not a servant. She'll just work." Surprisingly, Chansey agreed, saying she had always worked for her living and didn't accept charity. Doinji was frustrated, saying, "Are you crazy too? I brought you here because you're my girlfriend." She replied, "Let me decide for myself. It's my choice." She began working just like the other girls at the house. One morning, she brought him milk, only to find him sleeping shirtless. She thought to cover him with a blanket, but ended up falling into his arms as he pulled her close, pretending to be asleep. He eventually got up, drank the milk, and confessed he had been worried she might end up with Xu Shi, which is why he left Xiaoji and stood up to his mom. She assured him that wasn't the case. He teased her, saying, "Didn't you say you'd stand up to my mom? Don't go back on your word now, kitten." One day, she prepared food, and he invited her to eat with him. She refused, fearing his grandmother's reaction, but he insisted, so she invited the other girls working with her to join them, saying he agreed, but then whispered. She stayed in her room, worried he might come at any moment, even though she had locked the door. She imagined him breaking it down, creating a scene. She thought about escaping, but didn't get far before he caught her. He had been waiting for her to come out for an hour. "The era of shyness is over. You're coming with me now." But he surprised her by taking her to see the stars and meteors. He asked her to make a wish, then gave her a gift, a necklace he had prepared for their relationship's beginning. As he leaned in to kiss her, she hesitated, fearing she couldn't love him as much as he loved her. He reassured her, "It doesn't matter who loves more. What matters is that I love you, and you trust me." He suggested they try dating for a month, to which she replied, shocked, he asked. She teased. The next day, while cleaning his room, he reminded her, "Aren't you forgetting something important?" She told him she agreed to date him for a month, but warned that if she felt she couldn't love him, she would leave on her own. He was thrilled, saying the final result didn't matter. What mattered was that they were trying. The important thing is, they're officially a couple now. Congratulations, buddy. At university, the moment he saw her, he went to get her so they could eat together. And soon, all their friends knew they were in a relationship, but she felt uneasy because so many people were staring at her. He brushed it off, saying it was normal, and he wasn't going to let her break up with him over something so trivial. At home, she brought fruit for him and his friends. He wanted her to feed him directly, and as soon as she did, Mizo and Shimmy opened their mouths too, expecting the same. He shut them down, saying, seizing the moment, she asked him to go out with her, but not alone. She wanted him to come along with her, her friend, and her friend's boyfriend. It was like a double date, but he wasn't on board. She didn't know them and sulked. She brushed it off, saying she'd go alone then. When the day came, she told her friend and her friend's boyfriend that Dao Wenji was busy and couldn't make it. She also decided to leave so she wouldn't feel awkward being the odd one out. To her surprise, he showed up. He couldn't say no to her after all. However, her friend's boyfriend turned out to be a pest, asking intrusive questions no one would dare to ask. Dao Wenji finally snapped and asked her, "How does your friend even tolerate this guy? He's so annoying." Later, they went to a haunted house attraction. Though Dao Wenji objected to everything at first, he eventually agreed and reassured her, "Don't worry, none of this is real." Ironically, he was the first one to scream. When they came out, Sherry's boyfriend went to buy a drink, but annoyed Dao Wenji again. mocking him, saying he was too childish to join them for a drink. Dao Wenji walked off to grab something to cool off before he lost his temper. That's when he saw the guy flirting with 2 girls. The boyfriend had a crush on Sherry, but he didn't want to. Dao Wenji had the audacity to suggest, "What do you think of these 2? Why don't you pick one, instead of sticking with your boring girlfriend?" That was the final straw. Dao Wenji punched him for being a 2-timer. When Chansey and Sherry arrived and asked what was going on, he refused to explain. Frustrated, Chansey followed him home and asked his friends, "Where's the one who acts like a tough guy and keeps hitting people?" Fozzie told her he was in the bathroom, and like a fool, she opened the door on him. Of course he wasn't dressed. When he came out, she scolded him for embarrassing her in front of her friend. She wanted him to apologize, but he retorted, "My bad, I guess. May the Lord grant him patience to deal with this," and walked off, leaving her upset. The next day, while she was apologizing to Sherry, they overheard her boyfriend telling someone, "My girlfriend is so boring and uptight, she won't even let me kiss her." Chansey was stunned, but didn't hesitate. She punched him in the stomach, standing up for herself. Shimon saw Sherry crying on the street and tried to comfort her. He then decided to get back at that guy for hurting her. Coincidentally, Dao Enji was also there, and they both confronted him together. The guy's irritating attitude triggered Dao Enji, and he ended up punching him again. When they stepped outside, Dao Enji turned to Chansey and said, "So, what do you think now?" She sarcastically replied, "Think about what, you idiot? You punched the guy and walked off without saying a word." Shimon and Sherry, fed up with the conversation, constant bickering, decided to leave together. Chansey turned to Dao Enji and demanded, "Where are you taking my friend?" He teased her. "Relax. He likes bold girls. He's not going to eat your friend." Still, she worried her friend might fall for Shimon. Dao Enji snapped, "I wish you cared about our relationship a fraction as much as you care about everyone else's." He was starting to feel insecure, unsure if she truly loved him. With their dating trial nearing its end, he feared she might leave him. But then she hugged him and said she wanted their relationship to be official. Overwhelmed, he took her home, joking that they needed to check her mental state to make sure she wouldn't come back later, claiming she wasn't in her right mind when she said that. Later, she was helping him study and quizzing him from the book, since they had an important lecture the next day. She complimented him, saying, "Bravo, see, you're smart." He replied cheekily, "Where's my sweet reward, Miss Memes?" and pulled her closer before she could escape. At university, the professor was reviewing their thesis and asked a question, which our guy confidently answered.